So yeah, regarding the devnets, I see there's a lot of things happening. I guess a few different forks. From other, I know mostly on Aragon sides, but if anyone can comment on this more specifically.
What I noticed is basically that like we have 4 nodes of total 5,000 validators, and 3 of them are on the same fork, and they've been working like flawlessly like throughout this period, no issues, no stoppages. Like 2 of them have Nethermind as a execution layer, and 1 of them has Aragon. But the 4th Aragon actually has an issue. It forked away, and it looks like it forked away on the block that it created by its own, by itself, basically. So if you look at the block that I forgot was 80,000 something 92, whatever it's, you can see that there are 2 blocks to this number, like on 2 different nodes, and the funny thing that both of these blocks are created on this node. So one Aragon created 1 block, and another Aragon created another block, and one of these blocks were correct, and like kind of it was accepted by Netherminds around and stuff like this. It was propagated fully, and another block was created a bit later for like I think it has different timestamp, but also yeah, basically it's totally different block from a different validator, and it has different state root and different withdrawals list. It has 1 extra, I think. Or
but
no,
do we know why the other block is incorrect? Is it still a valid block, just as an alternative block, or it's somehow invalid?
For some reason, this node it's rejected the block that was valid, that was concerned as valid with all other nodes. So basically, let's say we have like basically just to make it simpler, we have four execution layers, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the node 2, which is Aragon, proposed the block. Then the block nodes 3 and 4, both Nethermind, they accepted this block, and it was fine. But the node 1, which is also Aragon, didn't accept this block. And then node 1, on the next slot or something, very close by in the time, it proposed another block with the same block number, but for different slot, right? Yeah, and basically from there it forked off into its own chain.
Basically. And what's the reason? Why did Aragon reject the valid block?
I didn't get that far, but I've seen that on this node number 1, there was a reorg. There was an unwind in the blocks just before this one came. So I could assume that you remember maybe way back when Aragon has some troubles when it's started getting like some unwind, and then after that it got stuck because it was thinking that the current block is invalid, and yeah, and basically it was on the loop of rejection of the same block. So I only can assume that maybe it wasn't fixed fully, and this is some kind of an edge case that slipped through. But it's more of a speculation. Again, I attached logs in the channel, 1 from the nodes that's healthy, and 1 from the nodes that I assume is broken. It's like 10 megabytes of logs for each. It's only an info level logs, but you can see an unwind in this node just before it, for some reason, didn't receive the correct block and forked off. So that's how deep I got. Like I didn't debug it or anything yet. So there was an unwind just before that. So it was suspicious to me.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
Yeah, thanks for your update. And I'm assuming so you're not the only one who has this issue, or a similar issue at least, because attestations are quite low, right? So who else has a node that isn't working? Yeah, Marek, go ahead.
Yeah, so in our infra, we had like, I don't know, 5, 6 Nethermind nodes, and 2 of them had some issues. And basically, for me, it looks like something on CL side. and it was Lodestar and Teku. And to be more surprising, other Teku node, because we have two of them, was working just fine. And for Lodestar, it was probably peering issue. So basically, Lodestar lost on some point of time, lost CL peers and stayed behind. And sometimes they again get some peers and tried to catch up and again lost peers, etc. So that was the Lodestar thing. Maybe Daplion will be able to comment on that. And the Teku is more interesting because Teku node was following the chain just fine. And on some point of time, he sent FCU to very old block, like, I don't know, 10,000 blocks or 1,000 blocks before the current head, and started sending FCU over and over to the same block without any more messages. So from EL side, I don't see the reason why the Teku node behave in this way, but yeah.
But maybe it was connected to my forked Erigon node because Erigon plus Lighthouse, because my node, like let's say the healthy node, the ones that I consider healthy, they are at the block 100,010, something like this. And this one that's forked away, it's still on block like 90,000 something. So if for some reason the only peer that Teku got is this Lighthouse, it might actually try to rework to this another fork, which has like almost 20,000 blocks less.
But the Teku wasn't progressing. Your fork was progressing, or it was stuck
Yeah,
on?
my fork was progressing when it
Okay.
was time for itself to produce a block. Since it has like 1,500
okay, I see.
validators, it was like creating blocks for itself, basically.
Yeah, so Teku node wasn't progressing. Just one FCU request over and over again for the same block. Not sure if Carlos is not on.
But do you know on which block it did happen, and to which block it tried to rework, because that's
yes. I sent on the Gnosis chat, but let me find it. Okay, I will find it in the minute and send on Google chat, so you can guys continue discussion.
Awesome, thank you. And does anyone else have issues from Gnosis maybe? I think on the fork one, Gnosis nodes are not very advanced either, let's say.
Yes, we are experiencing some issues as well with different kind of clients. We have Teku, Lighthouse, and also Erigon and Nethermind running. We are debugging what's happening on these nodes since they stopped working on. They are stuck on different block numbers, so there might be multiple reasons behind that. So, but yeah, we are debugging more in depth what the issue is there. But yeah, the four. So we have 2,500 keys running, spread over 4 instances, and the 4 of them are basically not progressing in syncing. So it seems like they are all on a fork, and I'm debugging what's happening.
By the way, like I can give you access to my broken Erigon at least RPC port, all right? And then you can check by hashes, did it try to, for instance, switch to this fork? Because if it receives like fork choice updated, it also prints the hash of the block and number. So you can always request if it was from that fork that Erigon created by itself, let's say, or it's something completely different.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, let's catch up after the call. It's indeed something useful. Thank you, Igor.
But I think overall we need to figure out what the issues are, try to fix them, and just relaunch the the DevNet. I would prefer to keep it half broken to some extent until we actually figure everything out, because I don't want to delete databases and blogs for basically broken nodes. So to make sure that we can actually fix stuff and it doesn't repeat on the mainnet.
Yes, so I guess this is going to happen async, right? So who would be the best person to kind of debug this on the Ergon side? I guess Andrew?
Yeah, I'll take a look. Yes.
Awesome. Then let's keep it in sync on the Telegram group, and yeah, launch a new DevNet in case, well, when we find the issue. And I would also like maybe to well, make sure that we keep a better eye on the nodes, because a lot of them are offline and not attesting correctly, and yeah, it's a bit problematic, let's say. And in this, with this objective in mind, I think Lion has a proposal regarding alerting and things like that. So maybe you can go a bit more into details, Lion.
Yeah, sure. So I have a private repo with a bunch of alerts. I was actually thinking now if we should discuss it here, but probably there will not be much input. So maybe it's best that I add the relevant people to the repo and we can collaborate async than just just bring it up here. Like in Ethereum calls also, there is usually very little input. But yeah, essentially, I think I have covered everything on the consensus side. So for the execution, if you have something that you believe is important, and then let us know and we can monitor that and make sure that the Gnosis chain never goes under that threshold. So yeah, that would be it.
So which infra is going to set up alerting? Like, who is going to do that?
Gnosis DevOps.
Okay, do our DevOps know about this already?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Right.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's things
not-
like
with Lion, this morning.
yeah, it's like basic things that there's like epoch participation, sync participation, miss blocks, and other network-wide things that we can track and monitor ourselves, and then set up strong alerting in case that there is anything going on, slashings. So if there are any failure modes that are good to track in the execution side, let us know.
So probably the CL metrics would be the best here, but we'll think about it. And maybe our DevOps team will have some input because they have lots of our alerts set up already for our infra.
Cool.
Yes, can we sync on the Codevs call? Telegram group, or should we create another one to kind of discuss this separately? What do you think?
I mean,
Let's just do it on the Codev group, I guess.
yeah.
Good. All right, so that covers it for DevNet, I guess, except if someone else has some other comments or questions.
Yeah, I want to say that yesterday I tested how failing withdrawal works. So I confirmed they work as expected, but it was very tricky to check them because the way the contract designed is it emits events in case of successful and failed withdrawals. And to query those events, you need to have transaction receipts. And the problem is with the current implementation that execution client processes the withdrawals after the transactions, and this causes the withdrawal transactions receipts to be missed in get logs RPC codes. So the question is now, like, what was the intention of this event? Is it just for testing purposes only, or are you guys going to use it in production? Because if you're going to use it in production, I think we have to make some changes in execution client to provide these receipts in get logs.
No, I think that would not be productive. So the person that developed the contract is a Solidity dev.
Mm-hmm.
So this sort of new system transaction, I would say, is something that no execution, like no Solidity dev has ever worked with unless you have worked with this chain. So probably they did the events because that's how they used to do it, and that's how you test the contracts. So that's a good point that we may want to drop the events. I don't know. They are indeed useless. The amount of gas and execution is very little too, so I'm not sure about the true value. But yeah, to assert, so if you want to assert failed withdrawals, you can do that because they are persistent in the state. And if we really, really wanted to have some tracking, we could have more state variables. If you want to track specific parameters, I think that the old contracts did something like that. They had a lot of metrics going on, persisted in the state of the contract, so you could test afterwards.
Okay, so what I did actually for my case, I modified the contracts and add a method to return me the failed withdrawals by their ID, so I just can query them because the event didn't work for me. So you either can do something similar, or otherwise we have to come up with a solution to include in the receipts in the get logs file. I wanted to raise this question because I don't want to end up in a situation that in the production it turn out that you can query these events or whatever. So we have to address them, I think, now.
So what is the question exactly that you wanna answer when you're in production?
So in production, you won't be able to query these events like with ETH get logs, and that's it.
Yeah, but why?
Because the withdrawal transactions are processed like at the very end of the block, so the receipts are not included with other transaction receipts, so there are no receipts included there.
Well, I guess then the question you want to ask is, did this withdrawal succeed or not? That's the question you want to ask.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. So
the only way we can check now is with query these events, right?
Well, my point is we can find other ways to answer the question is if the withdrawal succeeded or not without having to implement the get logs logic for system transactions.
Okay, for right now, how are you going to check this? On a DevNet, like, I don't know any other way but querying the events.
So if the withdrawal failed, it's added to the state of the smart contract. So if you don't see that withdrawal, you should assume that it succeeded.
Well, yes, but like, for example, if you want to check what's happened, maybe withdrawal failed and like it's stored in the contract, but we don't know later, was it processed or not? So again, you want to check something on a network. How are you going to do this?
Wait, I'm going to shut up for a second. Marek has the hand raised.
Yeah, so I want to ask, what about Erigon? Do you guys working in the same way, so you don't store any receipts from this withdrawals execution?
Yeah, right. I think with that, that we don't store.
Okay, that's good. That we are in consensus here. Good.
Yeah. So my point is we should not add extra complexity on the contract. Just to answer this question, if we really want to have that, we should be able to do it from the contract. I think it's possible to do it with the exact code that we have today. And otherwise, we can do some modifications so it's easier.
So does the contract have some read methods that give you the status of withdrawals?
Yes, of failed, yes. Of succeeded, not. It does not track every single withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Line, can you check if it's possible to do it with the current contract? And if that kind of spec out what we need to add?
Yeah, maybe you can bring up so Ihor, the contract designer, he added a feature so individual withdrawals could be retried on demand. So that there is the notion of a pointer where
Right, there is a
withdrawals will be
method
accumulated.
to process the failed withdrawals, but you have to know that it is failed, right? That, like, the question now, how to know which one has been failed.
So there are two methods. There is one that you just call, I want to process 20 failed withdrawals.
Yeah, it's
starting
called
from the
process
oldest.
failed withdrawal, right?
Yes, but there is
Mhm.
another function that you can process a specific withdrawal by ID.
Right.
And that was added. I was against that because I don't really see the point, and that's complexity. And if you don't have that, then you know that all withdrawals are processed sequentially. So to answer this question, if did the withdrawal succeed or not, the only thing you have to track is this pointer of what's the oldest failed withdrawal. If that value equals to the latest withdrawal in the block, then you know that there is nothing failed. Otherwise, you can just look at the difference.
Okay, but how to query that value?
Let me check the contract.
I don't see any method to query it.
Is it the failed withdrawal pointer?
Yeah, but you
Does
have
it
to know the
show
pointer.
Well, it's public. You can
Yeah,
just
it's
call
public.
this.
Okay, so you want to say that the failed without pointer is always point to the latest one? That's okay. So what about the previous one? Say that there are two withdrawals
So
failed.
That pointer, it will point to the oldest withdrawal that is probably failed.
The very first failed one, right?
Yes, which may have been retried individually. So in other words, there is no withdrawal older than that pointer that has failed. Everything after that pointer can either be failed or already reprocessed.
All right, so in that case, I would like to raise this like in Telegram group so Ihor can see this and give his like thoughts. Because again, so those events are not usable in a DevNet, so we can't use them. So if the intention was using them at some point in the future, we have to make some implementation changes in the client.
Yeah,
Or if they are for testing purposes only, we are fine.
My position is the events are exclusively to test the solidity code in the like truffle hard hat setup.
Good, gotcha.
For us testing on the DevNet, we should have other means to assert the state of the withdrawals.
All right, so I'm getting a perception that you guys are fine with the current implementation, so probably no need for changes.
Correct. Well, unless anyone has another opinion.
Okay, well, let's move on then from this. I guess if this is not enough, then write a message on Telegram or something. Yeah, so are there other DevNet news, or should we move forward? Okay, let's quickly hear then some client updates, if there are some, which are not DevNet related. Never mind.
So we merged withdrawals to the master branch. Basically, good news.
Awesome. Aragon?
No updates besides the DevNet.
All right. Geth, but I think Guillaume is not there. No. So I know from last week he was syncing blocks, and apparently this is still I mean, on Monday it was still going on, and he was missing about 1 month. So yeah, that's the last updates I have from him. Prism, well, has no updates. As he's still waiting on Geth, For the withdrawal contract, I'm not sure if there's anything more to add, except if someone has questions again or comments. All right. Regarding Hive tests, so we had this call on last Thursday. Yeah, what happened since then, or even if someone could just summarize it while I type it in, just so everyone here is aware of what's going on for Hive tests.
Well, we have from date. I'm sorry, we have a call last week about the future things that we want on Hive test regarding to Gnosis, and basically everyone gives the opinion about what we should do and we shouldn't, and give me a high overview of how Hive test should look. But this week I have been setting up the environment and trying to run the tests that currently are working for withdrawals on Ethereum, and testing with the Gnosis Chain spec for Nethermind. So hopefully for the next update we will have more updates regarding Hive testing in itself for Gnosis.
All right, so are there any blockers? Is everything going as you kind of intended them to go, or?
Sorry, could you repeat?
Is everything working as you wanted them to? I mean, it's to go kind of.
It takes a couple of days to understand some of the logic, but things are working as expected. So I hope that it will continue in that way.
Awesome. Well, I guess that's just chain infra updates left. So Gateway, do you have any news?
No, a couple of things. First of all, we've been helping quite a few teams. We've been helping Giveth to set up the bridge validator on Gnosis mainnet. Anton was helping them. Then Max was again helping Marcus a little bit, I think, with the Hive, at least what he learned from when he was looking at Hive. And apart from that, yeah, we had this period when we took all the traffic for Gnosis Chain public RPC because there were some problems on the side of Gnosis DevOps. So they did something with the node, so we handled this quite all right. And I think right now we just discovered some tracing mismatch between Aragon and Nethermind. Again, we created a bug right now, just something that's rewards and being traced the way they should on Gnosis Chain. But otherwise, yeah, that was pretty much it, I think, for now. And then Dev Network, of course. But that's a given.
Awesome. Thanks for the update. Well, I guess that kind of covers it. If someone has some comments or questions left, please go ahead now. If not, then see you next week.
Yeah, one last comment. So about the contract, the point that makes it a bit tricky is that in the failed withdrawals, they are not indexed by withdraw ID. The only information you have is the address and amount. From a UX point of view, in case that there is an insolvency, I think that is sufficient. Like there could be a UI, and you could locate all the withdrawals that match your address. So the failed withdrawal ID does not have anything to do with the actual withdrawal ID, but you can recover all the failed withdrawal IDs that are associated with your address, so you can execute them on demand if you wish to. For testing, we could probably, because the amounts will not be equal on all the addresses, we could probably match the failed withdrawal objects in the contract to the withdrawal in the block, and then assert which ones are from which, and then make timelines if that's what we want to assert. If we just want to assert amounts, we can. So everything on the contract that's related to failed withdrawals is public, so you can basically iterate over all the failed withdrawals and just check if the number makes sense or not with what you are expecting. So I would say yes, only with contract state, we can either fulfill all the UX in case of insolvency and our testing needs.
Makes sense. Thanks.
And also, I'm not sure if I got it already, but if you can, we can talk later by chat. But please let me know how exactly did you guys bootstrap the DevNet in terms of contracts, so I can start playing around with scripts.
Right, we can do.
Yeah, so who's going to give this information to Lion?
Me.
Okay, perfect. All right, well then, if there's nothing left, yeah, see you next week then. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.